After escorting Seadoll, Vale, who returned to normal a chapter ago, asks for our well-being, not expecting the hostile reactions of the Crowned Royals for the atrocities her alter ego had wrought since Destinia Cathedral. She tries to plead her innocence, but with neither side aware of her evil persona, the hostilities stand and Vale retreats without us chasing her, just in case it's a trap. Outside, Vale is found by the hound that was missing in chapter 14, and as it turns out, normal Vale also knows Gris, which doesn't help her case with the Divine Dragon's Inquisition. Likewise, Gris is aware of Vale's duality, and is quick to gaslight the girl into believing she didn't commit any war crimes, offering her an opportunity to fix their misunderstanding with the Divine Dragon in Prinny. In the Somniel, we gamble on the newly available Fates banner and get nothing special. Merrin trains to level 5 and learns the Wolf Knight class skill Hobble. Alchrist, Ivy and Seadoll have their bond conversations with Lynn, Byleth and Corin, and once again we have a bunch of supports to go through. Jean talks about how he respects his parents, having days where they get along, and others where they don't, only coming to this realization having not seen them for quite a while, and is grateful to them on how he's been raised, which Alir finds very touching. Seadoll is dancing for his audience, the moon and stars, whom he believes are what people become when they die. He tells Alir that his teacher is among their number, and that he's solely focused on his craft, his skill renowned in the lands of Psalm, and Alir respects his discipline before letting Seadoll continue his performance. Jean attempts to treat an insect sting on Bunay, who tries to disregard the young doctor's orders, but is quickly convinced once Jean mentions it could be dangerous if untreated. Bunay then gives Jean thanks, as well as an invitation to his garden. A curious Alchrist inquires about the travelling life of Seadoll, who wandered with many from all walks of life, which Alchrist finds incredible as it contrasts his life, tied down by princely responsibilities. Seadoll then offers to tell a story or three about his adventures, to which Alchrist is excited for. Panette is in awe about Ivy's composure, finding it unusual that she doesn't act like a Disney princess or voraciously eat meat, as she's only had Temera as reference on the princess template. Thankfully, Ivy isn't offended by the difference in culture, is quite appreciative of this conversation, asks to become friends, and Panette accepts. Merrin's sea support with Bunay is your usual cooking anime episode, with Bunay as the cook and Merrin as the taste tester, complete with the dazzling descriptions on how this stewed chicken was cooked, to the equally flamboyant praise on the taste, ending with the two thanking each other for the meal and feedback respectively. Alir discusses the wolf incident with Alchrist and tries to convince him that there's no hierarchy between them, but to no avail, frustrating him, but lets it slide and lets him do things his own way. Temera is enjoying a peaceful day until Seadoll rushes and screams angrily into the scene, admonishing Temera for breaking her promise of not cooking her roast meat specialty near him, as he's trying his best to maintain his diet and not succumb to the temptation of Temera's meat. He performs an exorcism and prays to the moon and stars, then leaves the dumbfounded Temera. With those supports done, we head back to the Arena of the Gods to get our revenge on Lucina, where the only change in my team composition from before is that Merrin takes Yanaka's place. Alir is given Corin, and Jean takes Byleth. Everyone's put into position, and we start my revenge match on the Princess Exalt. The opening I use is like when I first attempted this map, so I set bait for the enemy to our right, with Merrin this time on turn 1. While also ensuring we can strike one of the Thoron mages next turn. Meanwhile, Alchrist engages and Astrostorms the mage on the left, so they can easily be dispatched later. Merrin dodge tanks as expected, then Alir deals a critical kill on turn 2, and earning us 1000 gold. Louis moves northwest, engages and drinks a HP tonic to prepare for the Berserker to our left, though it was somewhat unnecessary as Clan and Alchrist could double team it, but unfortunately, the latter missed, so I had Jean engage earlier than I wanted to, and got a stance Louis who deals the final blow instead, getting us more gold, while Merrin damages the mage on the right, putting her in danger. Thankfully, The mage targets Alir instead, and Jean quickly mends those wounds on turn 3. Alchrist eliminates the left Thoron mage, and I remembered that the Armor Knights used smash weapons, so I have Clan rush at the one ahead of him to set up a safe enemy phase elimination. Alir slays the remaining mage, then Merrin prepares to bait the right Tomahawk Berserker. As expected, Clan finishes off one of the Armor Knights, while Merrin deals a hefty retaliation on the right Tomahawk Fabrication, before a guaranteed defeat is dealt by Alir on turn 4. I have Louis set up Great Ether, and ensure he's the only one that can be attacked this turn, leading him to getting tickled and smashed back, meaning Great Ether was only able to heavily harm the Armor Knight at the start of turn 5. Finally, we have Alir finish off that Armor Knight. Jean takes the rightmost Emblem energy tile, then Merrin, Clan and Alchrist clear the remaining fabrication. We then spend the next few turns getting Louis to the leftmost Emblem energy tile, and returning to the center of the map so we can lure Lucina to the furthest point away from the stair tiles. Louis is engaged and ready on turn 9, and he shaves off half of Lucina's HP on the counter, making me confident that we can defeat her in turn 10, and we start that off by having Louis break the first revival stone. Merrin inflicts poison, and Alir engages to unleash torrential roar, while Clan and Alchrist attack indirectly from 3 tiles away. This is so Jean can get in between those 4 to engage and refresh them with Goddess Dance. With our remaining actions, Merrin breaks the second revival stone. Alir unfortunately doesn't get a critical finish, Alchrist strikes with the steel bow this time, and then Clan finalizes our revenge.
So strong.
Lucina admits her defeat, and Alir gives thanks for the guidance, and the rest of this conversation can be summarized as,
Our bonds give me strength!
and with that, our max bond level is unlocked with Lucina. Since this map was finished quickly, let's travel back to Prinny for our next paralogue. We arrive at some plains that remind Lyn of Sakei, and she shows her appreciation for the scenery alongside Alir. Lyn gives us a summary of her prologue from Fire Emblem The Blazing Blade, and then challenges us to a fight in this map remix of Chapter 20BX, hosting a horde of bow knights and multiple unvisitable tents, guarded by stationary sages with varying staves, or more bow knights, all segmented into small islands by a river with a few bridges acting as the only access point for grounded units. Our army is split into groups of 4 at the top left, top right, and bottom right corners, while Lyn sits pretty at the bottom left corner of the map. As for the rings, I give Merrin Lucina, Ivy with Mist S, Alchrist with Anna S, and Seedal with Tiki A. I also swap out Yanaka for Kagetsu, and give him Dimitri S. Items wise, the only notable additions are giving Temera our only Rider's Bane, and remembering to give Panette the Brave Axe that I forgot to do in Chapter 15. I feed Merrin an energy drop, Louis a talisman, and Clan a Seraph robe, and finally, these are the groups I decide to go with. As the battle starts, we're warned of reinforcements that will come out of the tents if we don't eliminate the defenders quickly enough. That said, our primary objective is to defeat the Lady of the Plains. Let's start off with Team Alir, who we have go south and breach the nearby island. For the first few turns, this team eliminates one of the Wyvern Knights to their direct south, and melts an archer from their west, before making it to the bridge on turn 4, where Alir initiates their invasion by engaging and launching Torrential Roar, followed by a greedy kill from Merrin that leads her to getting sniped to death, before returning and having her protect Clan while Alir takes the other hits. Team Alir busts on in on turn 5, starting with Clan shocking the knight on the bridge, Alir critting through the next one, and Merrin pushing our advantage to take down the third, letting Fogado safely enter and start poking the sage guarding the tent to the team's immediate south, and bafflingly, the last movable bow knight on that island shoots at Fogado first, and then the Sage uses their fracture staff to cause a break, though I won't complain since we got some enemy phase damage in. Turn 6, Fogado and Merrin finish ransacking our first tent and loot 500 gold. Alir finishes off the weakened bow knight, and Ivy swoops in from the north to heal Fogado. Then a bow knight enters the island from the west, and that intruder is taken down by Ivy and clan on turn 7. Alir takes one of the emblem energy tiles to the south, then clan is struck by the nearby tent guard. Turn 8, Merrin completes our island pillage and nets us another 500 gold. Ivy clears a bow knight to the west, then Fogado and clan charge ahead that way too, which leads to clan getting frozen, and the forewarned reinforcements appearing from the uncleared tents at the start of turn 9. Will clan end up burning another one of our time crystal charges? Will the enemy overwhelm us? We'll get back to that, but let's check out what the other teams did before this point. Next up is Team Unintentional Bait, emphasis on the unintentional part. Back on turn 1, Seadoll chain guards Panette, while Kagetsu and Dalcris cautiously set up on the bridge to their left. Panette is protected and crushes an east side Wyvern Knight, while Kagetsu is pointlessly fracture staffed. The remaining Wyvern Knights encroach upon this team, and we take down the one in our immediate vicinity with Panette and Alchrist on turn 2. Then we pull back Kagetsu as well, leading into turn 3 with the last two Wyvern Knights, which are both annihilated by Panette. Kagetsu is broken again, and now there are two Bow Knights from the west to deal with on turn 4. Kagetsu and Alchrist team up on the furthest one away, while Panette makes a costly miss on the other knight, but gets a second chance from Seadoll, eventually gets the elimination, and she becomes the fractured target this time. Nothing special happens until turn 6, where this team has pushed far enough that they're getting frozen, and Lynn announces that she's joining the fight, which is quite the predicament as the frozen Panette can't escape from all the potential attacks coming her way, prompting me to travel back to turn 6's beginning and moving to the top of the island, with Kagetsu getting shot at and successfully evading a freeze attempt. Turn 7, this team remains on the island's northern bank to defeat Kagetsu's attacker, with 2 shots from Alchrist and a tomahawk from Panette. Panette is frozen, then Lynn moves all the way to the right to set up her doubles, and yes, those are permanent unless you can take them down, though I never needed to. Turn 8, Alchrist and Kagetsu start retreating, while Seadoll remains by Panette's side, ready to help accelerate her when she's able to start running. Though this does lead him to getting Astrostormed by Lynn, which I did account for, and now we're caught up with Team Alir. Now going back once again, this time with Team Louis. Initially on turn 1, Louis overextends south, but that ends up getting his ally surrounded, so I waste the map's first charge to restart the battle, and I change plans to take over the northern section instead, having Louis engage and set up Great Ether on the bridge, while his allies stay out of harm's way. We slam into turn 2, heavily harming the Bow Knight and deleting the Mage with Great Ether. Louis opens his allies' path, letting Tamara and Ivy capture the northern section, so Jean can enter safely to engage and Goddess dance Louis and Tamara. Louis heads back out to start luring in the knights and bulks up with a HP tonic, while Tamara equips a javelin and moves onto a woods tile to help defend the island and dish some enemy phase damage. Louis continuously baits the knights to attack him despite dealing 0 damage, while Ivy and Jean keep a safe distance, ready to heal Louis when necessary. And along the way, I accidentally got Tamara slain on turn 3, so I just returned to keep her away from the danger too, which is the primary reason why I use the word team loosely here. Louis maintains his defense, blocking the bridge, taking down numerous knights before scaring most of them off with Great Ether on turn 5's enemy phase, to give the team a bit of an opening to advance towards the tent closest to them on turn 6, taking down a few nearby knights on turn 7, then on turn 8, Louis slays the tent guard on the enemy phase and loots us 500 gold. And that puts us back on turn 9 with everyone this time. The 3 still defended tents release 4 units each, 2 Bow Knights, a Sword Master, and a Sage, and the guards can move now too. As for the clan Mystria left, we'll be fine, as I send Ivy to the North Island, and there's more than enough range to rescue clan out. We then have every group retreat towards where they've come from, and on the enemy phase, the central tent enemies split their forces between Team Alir and Louis, while the others chase after Team Bait. Turn 10, Team Bait continues running away, Marin and Alir support the frozen Fogado, and Team Louis makes it back to their starting area. The Free Sage chases Team Alir and is eliminated on turn 11, netting us another 500 gold. Louis blockades the northwestern bridge, and the enemy reinforcements finally catch up to Team Bait. Turn 12, Team Bait makes their defense just over the north bridge of their starting area, to give Team Alir and Louis' allies time to support. For some reason, Lyn decides to split from her army and head north. That very much works in my favor. Team Alir joins up with Team Bait on turn 13, with the Divine Dragon providing the perfect deterrent in this next section, Cooking with Chef Prinny! Ho ho ho! Chef Prinny here! With such a large swath of enemies on this plane, we can easily make ourselves a Belhallen style barbecue. First, Divine Dragon, turn on the stove. Now we wait for the enemies to run into the flames, and let them simmer for about 7 turns. Then, beat down the stragglers for a perfect Belhallen style barbecue. But there's nothing left. That's the point! Chef Prinny away! Well, good thing Sigurd isn't with us right now for his PTSD to trigger, but where did Lyn go? Oh, so what's And this is where we're at, huh? Louis became the boss this time and is using Lyn's allies as shields from the Manikati. And yeah, this is why I said Lyn going north was in my favor, so let's just put her out of her misery now. Lyn admits how thoroughly stomped she was, and Alir praises her skill. Lyn attributes her current strength to Eliwood and Hector's help, and Alir hopes he can be as strong as her at the end of this game. And with that, our max bond level is unlocked with Lyn.